The alien sky glowed a soft blue as Captain Daniel Hayes walked across the quiet balcony of the diplomatic tower. The air smelled like iron and rain, and far above him, two moons drifted side by side like silver eyes watching the world below. It was peaceful, too peaceful for a planet that had seen 1,000 wars. Beside him stood Lyra, a tall alien woman with silver skin and eyes like flowing water. Her people, the Thalran, had once fought humanity. But now they were allies, or at least they tried to be. Lyra's voice was calm but heavy with emotion when she finally spoke. "I can't have children," she said softly, her words trembling in the cool night air. Daniel stopped walking. He looked at her face. At the way her hands tightened on the railing, he didn't say anything at first. He just waited, Lyra continued. "In my world, those who cannot bear life are seen as incomplete. They're called hollow mothers. And most of us choose exile rather than shame." Her voice cracked slightly. "That's why I was sent here to serve the human colony. Away from my people." Daniel leaned against the railing, the light of the moons reflecting in his eyes. He could have given her a formal response, a diplomatic one, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled, a slow, genuine smile that made Lyra frown in confusion. "Good," he said simply. "I've already got enough kids for both of us." Lyra blinked. She thought he was joking, but there was no mockery in his tone. "Only warmth," Daniel chuckled. "I've got orphans, crew members, young cadets, half of them call me Dad already. You don't need to give life to be part of a family." For a moment, Lyra said nothing. Her heart, so used to rejection and cold logic, didn't know how to process kindness. She stared at the human captain, wondering how a species that once turned planets into fire could still hold such gentleness inside. "Humans are strange," she whispered. Almost to herself, Daniel shrugged. "Maybe. But strange keeps the universe interesting." The wind picked up, carrying the scent of the alien ocean. Somewhere far below, the lights of the city shimmered like stars fallen to the ground. For Lyra, it was the first time she had felt peace in years. But peace never lasted long, especially in the galaxy they lived in. The sound of a distant alarm cut through the quiet night. Red lights began flashing across the horizon. Daniel's communicator buzzed sharply. He pressed it to his ear. "Captain Hayes. This is Control Command. We've got incoming ships. Unidentified signatures approaching fast." "They're not responding to hails." Lyra stiffened. "That's impossible. The sector was supposed to be secure." Daniel's eyes hardened. The warmth vanished from his face, replaced by the steel of a man who had seen too many battles. "Nothing's ever secure," he said, pulling his sidearm from his belt. Within seconds, the sky above them roared with the sound of thunder, not from weather, but from the engines of warships entering orbit. Blue fire streaked across the atmosphere as the first enemy crafts broke through. Lyra turned to Daniel, fear flashing in her eyes. "It's the Varn Dominion. They must have tracked me here." Daniel gave her a sharp look. "Tracked you? Why?" Lyra hesitated. "Because I'm not just a diplomat," she said quietly. "I'm a fugitive, and the secret I carry could destroy their entire empire." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we'd better make sure it doesn't destroy us first." The balcony trembled as a nearby explosion shook the building. Glass shattered, alarms blared, and the night turned to chaos. Daniel grabbed Lyra's arm, pulling her away from the falling debris. "Come on," he shouted. "If they're here for you, they'll burn everything to find you." Lyra's voice broke. "I never meant for this to happen. I didn't want to bring death to your world." Daniel stopped in the hallway, his eyes blazing with fire. "You didn't bring death," he said. "They did. And we'll show them what happens when you threaten our family." Lyra stared at him, seeing something terrifying yet beautiful in his eyes, the unbreakable resolve of humanity. And for the first time, she understood why the galaxy feared humans, not because of their power, but because of their heart. The corridors of the human embassy echoed with chaos. Red warning lights painted the walls like blood, and the air trembled with the distant roar of explosions. Daniel Hayes led Lyra through the smoke-filled passage, his hand gripping hers tightly. He didn't know where the next blast would strike, but he knew one thing: he wasn't leaving her behind. They reached the evacuation bay. Soldiers shouted orders. The metallic hiss of shuttle doors filled the air. "Captain, what's happening?" One young officer yelled. "Unknown fleet, sir." "They're not responding to any transmissions." Daniel's jaw clenched. "Then they're not here to talk." Lyra's heart pounded. Her people's enemies, the Varn Dominion, were ruthless. They didn't invade planets, they erased them. She turned toward Daniel, her voice trembling. They're after something I stole from them. Something they'll never forgive. Daniel gave her a sharp look. You'd better start talking, Lyra hesitated. The ship shuddered under another impact. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the sound of collapsing metal echoed above them. The Varn built a weapon, she finally said. A living weapon that feeds on life energy. They called it the Hollow Star. Daniel frowned. And you have it? Not it, she whispered, but the key to control it. Without the key, the weapon stays dormant. That's why they can't use it yet, that's why they're hunting me. Daniel stared at her, processing every word. You stole it from them to stop them, he said slowly. Did you plan to give it to us? Lyra looked down. I didn't plan anything. I just wanted to destroy it, but the key is alive. It bonded to me. It's inside my body now. A thunderous explosion ripped through the hangar door. Metal screamed and tore apart as enemy drones poured in. Black and sharp like a swarm of mechanical locusts. Move! Daniel shouted, pulling Lyra toward the emergency shuttle. His soldiers opened fire, the air flashing with energy bolts. Sparks and smoke filled the room. One drone exploded inches from Lyra's face. Showering her with burning fragments, Daniel slammed the control panel and sealed the shuttle door. The craft shook violently as it launched into the night sky. Through the window they could see the city burning. Human defense ships rose like fireflies to meet the enemy. But the Varn fleet was massive. Lyra pressed her palms together, whispering words in her native tongue. They will not stop, Daniel. Not until I'm dead. Daniel took a deep breath. Then they'll have to go through me first. The shuttle's AI chimed. Captain, destination? Daniel hesitated only a moment, then said, Outpost E47, it's off the radar, we'll regroup there. Lyra turned to him. Outpost E47? That's abandoned. Daniel smirked. Not entirely, it's where I send the kids who have nowhere else to go. Lyra blinked. Kids? He nodded. War orphans, survivors, forgotten by the galaxy, we protect them, train them, give them a future. He gave her a half smile. Family, remember? Lyra looked out the window, the flames of the city reflecting in her eyes. You risk everything for people not even related to you, she said quietly. That's what makes us human, he replied, hours later. The shuttle descended onto the desolate plains of E47. The old base stood half buried in sand. A skeleton of steel and silence as the hatch opened. Children and young soldiers ran forward. Greeting Daniel with joy and relief, Captain's back. One boy shouted, his clothes covered in grease and dust. We thought you were dead. Daniel ruffled the boy's hair. Not yet, kiddo. Not yet. Lyra watched the scene, her chest tightening for the first time. She saw what humanity truly meant. Not just survival or strength, but love without condition. She understood now why he had smiled when she said she couldn't have children. But her moment of peace shattered when a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shadow passed over the base, a silent shape in the clouds. Daniel's communicator beeped. Incoming transmission. Encrypted signal. He frowned and opened the channel. A cold voice echoed through the speakers. You can't hide her, Captain Hayes. Hand over the Thalren woman and we'll spare your colony. Daniel's eyes turned cold as steel. You're talking to the wrong species, he said. We don't hand over family. Lyra's breath caught. The communicator went silent, but the threat lingered in the air. Outside, the sky darkened as the Varn fleet aligned above the planet, and from somewhere deep inside Lyra's chest, a faint light began to glow, pulsing with energy. The key inside her was awakening. Daniel noticed it. What's happening? Lyra's voice trembled. It's responding to their presence. The hollow star is near. Daniel looked toward the heavens, his hand tightening on his blaster. Then let's show them what happens when humans defend what's theirs. The base sirens began to wail. The war for survival and for family had just begun. A pale dawn crept across the sands of Outpost E47. The base had gone silent after a night of alarms and whispered fear. Daniel stood on the command balcony watching the horizon burn with morning light. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Somewhere out there, the Varn fleet hovered unseen, waiting. Behind him, Lyra sat on a medical bench, a faint glow pulsing from beneath her collarbone. The human med droids scanned her frantically, but their readings made no sense. Captain, one medic said, her cells are generating an unknown frequency. It's singing, Daniel turned. Singing? Yes, sir, the medic replied. Not energy emission, resonance. Like it's calling something. Lyra's eyes opened slowly, the glow spreading like liquid silver through her veins. It's the key, she murmured. It senses the weapon. The hollow star is awakening, outside. The sky shimmered with an unnatural ripple. Like a curtain being torn, a massive silhouette emerged above the clouds. A dark sphere the size of a moon. Surrounded by arcs of lightning, the hollow star had arrived. Daniel felt his heart stop for a moment. That's not a weapon, he whispered. That's a god, Lyra rose unsteadily. No, it's worse than a god. It feeds on belief, on fear, on life itself. The base trembled as gravitational waves rippled across the ground. Metal groaned, sand lifted into the air. Children screamed as lights flickered. Daniel barked orders. Get everyone underground now. Lyra grabbed his arm. If it fully awakens, it will devour this world first. Then tell me how to stop it, Daniel demanded. Her voice was weak but certain. There is only one way. The key must be merged with a human mind strong enough to resist it. Daniel frowned. Merged? You mean, yes, she said. The human must bond with it, take its energy. Control it from within? Daniel stared at her. That'll kill whoever tries, Lyra looked down. I know. For a long moment, neither spoke. The base shook again, dust falling like snow in the silence between explosions. Daniel realized what she intended. You, he said quietly. You were going to sacrifice yourself. Lyra smiled faintly. It was my sin, my burden. Daniel shook his head. Not anymore, before she could protest. He placed a hand on her shoulder. The glow from her chest flared, spreading into him like a river of light. The med droid screamed warnings. Sensors overloaded, but Daniel didn't let go. Lyra shouted, Daniel, stop! It will consume you. He grinned through the pain. Family shares everything, remember? A beam of light shot upward from the base, piercing the sky. The hollow star paused, its massive surface rippling as if confused. Daniel's body floated several feet above the ground, energy swirling around him like a storm of fire and ice. Lyra fell to her knees, shielding her eyes. The sound was deafening, a harmony of 1,000 voices crying out in pain and hope at once. Then suddenly silence. When the light faded, Daniel landed heavily, breathing hard. His eyes glowed faint blue. His voice echoed slightly when he spoke. It's connected, I can feel it. Lyra crawled toward him. Daniel, are you still... You? He looked at her and smiled. Mostly, above them, the hollow star's lightning dimmed. The monstrous sphere slowed its rotation. For the first time in centuries, it hesitated, confused. Daniel straightened. Tell your people, he said. Humanity doesn't bow to monsters. The ground quaked again as the hollow star responded. A dark wave spread across the clouds. Like the universe itself roaring back, Daniel's body shimmered. The light inside him flaring brighter. Lyra felt both awe and terror. The weapon and the man were becoming one. And somewhere deep in the storm of energy, Daniel's voice whispered through the comms. Calm and certain, you wanted a war, you'll get one. But it won't be the kind you expected. The children in the tunnels below watched the sky ignite. 2 lights, one black, one blue, clashed in the heavens. The battle for the soul of the galaxy had begun. The sky was no longer blue. It burned with light and shadow. 2 forces locked in a silent struggle above the world. The hollow star hung like a living storm, its black surface swirling with veins of red lightning. And at its heart, trapped within its endless void, was Daniel Hayes. Lyra stood on the edge of the base, her eyes fixed on the heavens. Her communicator crackled with static, through which came Daniel's voice, faint but steady. Lyra. Can you hear me? Her heart leapt. Daniel, you're alive. Alive, he said slowly, but not alone. His words carried an echo as if thousands of whispers spoke through him. It's trying to get inside my mind. Lyra's pulse quickened. Fight it, Daniel. Remember who you are. He laughed faintly. Hard to forget, I've got a few billion memories screaming at me right now. Through the storm, Daniel could see things no human ever had. The hollow star wasn't a machine, it was a graveyard of souls. Every planet it consumed left behind echoes of life, and now they all called out to him, pleading, crying, remembering. He saw their faces, their pain, their hope, and he understood. This thing, he said, it feeds on fear because that's all it knows. It was born in darkness, never saw light, never felt love. Lyra's voice trembled. Then show it, Daniel. Show it what being human means. He closed his eyes, and memories filled him. The laughter of children at E47. The warmth of a shared meal after battle. Lyra's eyes under twin moons. Every heartbeat of humanity burned inside him like a flame. Inside the hollow star, the ancient intelligence resisted. It spoke in 1,000 voices at once. You are small, you are fragile. You will burn like the rest, Daniel smiled. His voice calm. Maybe, but we burn bright. Outside, Lyra saw the black clouds twist, a surge of light pushing through. Like dawn breaking against night, the hollow star screamed. The sound shaking the mountains suddenly. The base's comms erupted with chatter. Captain Hayes is affecting the weapon's core. A technician shouted, its energy levels are dropping. Lyra gripped the console. How much time do we have? Not long, came the reply. It's either shutting down or exploding. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Daniel, please come back. Inside the storm, Daniel floated in endless darkness, surrounded by ghostly images of lost civilizations. He extended his hand and light spread from his fingers. You wanted to consume life, he said softly. Now feel it, the hollow star convulsed. Every soul trapped inside suddenly connected through him. They felt warmth, memory, love, and for the first time in millennia, the weapon hesitated. Lyra saw it, the monstrous sphere beginning to fracture. Light pouring from the cracks, she screamed into the comm, Daniel! It's breaking apart. His voice came faint but peaceful. Then I did it. Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming. No, you're not leaving me too. He chuckled weakly. I'm not leaving, Lyra, just becoming something else. The sky erupted. A wave of pure light exploded outward, engulfing the night. The hollow star shattered into 1,000 radiant fragments that fell like stars across the planet's sky. When the blinding light faded, silence returned, the storm was gone, the enemy fleet scattered. Fleeing into the void, Lyra stood trembling. Staring at the empty sky, the communicator was silent now. No more static, no more voice, just the whisper of the wind. She whispered into the quiet. He said I was already family. Behind her, the children of E47 emerged from the bunkers. Staring at the heavens filled with falling lights, one of them tugged her hand. Is he gone? Lyra knelt beside him. No, he's watching, she said softly. He became the light that keeps us safe. The boy looked up, smiling. Then he's still our captain. Lyra smiled faintly, her tears glimmering like stars. Yes, always. Far above, in the endless dark of space, one of the glowing fragments drifted silently. Within it, faintly, a heartbeat echoed. Human. Steady and eternal. The world had changed since that night. The hollow star was gone, but its fragments still floated in orbit, glowing softly like lanterns above the dark skies. People across the human colonies called them Hayes lights, a symbol of hope born from sacrifice. At Outpost E47, life slowly returned. Children laughed again, engines hummed, and the sandstorms no longer sounded like screams. But for Lyra, peace came wrapped in silence. Every dawn she walked to the ridge where Daniel had stood before the battle. Her eyes searched the sky, waiting for something she couldn't name. One morning the horizon shimmered. A faint blue ripple spread through the air like a heartbeat. The nearby machines flickered, and the base lights dimmed for a moment. The technicians ran outside, staring upward. It's happening again, one whispered. Lyra's pulse quickened. The glow in the sky wasn't random. It pulsed with rhythm, slow, steady, familiar. She placed a hand over her heart. Daniel? She whispered. The pulse answered with another flare, brighter this time, spreading warmth through every metal wall of the base. The comm systems crackled, a faint, distorted voice breaking through. Lyra, can you hear me? Her knees weakened. Daniel, you're alive. I'm not. The same, the voice said softly. The hollow star is gone. But its energy still exists. I held it together. I became part of it. Lyra felt tears burn her eyes. You saved billions, Daniel. You shouldn't have to keep carrying it. He chuckled faintly, the sound echoing like wind through the comm. Maybe. But someone has to teach the stars what family means. She covered her mouth, laughing and crying at once. Always the stubborn human. Always, he said. Listen, Lyra, the fragments still have power. If the Dominion finds them, they'll try to rebuild what we destroyed. You have to protect them. I will, she promised. We'll guard them like children. The light in the sky dimmed slightly. That's good, tell the kids, I said. To keep fixing things, they're good at that. Lyra smiled through tears. They still call you Captain, you know that? I wouldn't want it any other way. The signal began to fade, static creeping in. Lyra, remember, humanity's strength isn't in ships or guns. It's in how we love. Then the voice was gone. The sky returned to calm and the soft blue light faded into the dawn. Lyra stood for a long time, the wind whipping her hair. Around her the children gathered quietly. Looking up at the fading glow, one girl asked softly, "Is the captain watching again?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, and he's smiling." The children lifted their hands toward the sky, waving, laughing, calling his name. Their voices rose like music into the thin air, and far above, one fragment of light pulsed once more, faint but clear as if waving back. That night, Lyra wrote the first entry in the new colony log. Her hand trembled as she typed. Captain Daniel Hayes, presumed transformed. Status unknown, legacy eternal. The galaxy has seen many wars, but it will never forget the man who taught even the stars how to care. She looked out the window, whispering, "You said I was already family, Daniel. Now I know what you meant." Outside, the desert winds carried the faint hum of energy, the echo of a human heartbeat stretching across light years, and somewhere in the distant void, the glowing fragments began to move together, slowly forming the outline of something vast, an angelic shape made of fire and memory, watching over humanity from the edge of the universe. The legend of the human star had begun. The galaxy remembered his light, but few believed he would ever return. Decades passed since the fall of the hollow star, yet every world still spoke of the human captain who faced the darkness and turned it into hope. They built monuments under skies touched by his glow, and every child of the colonies grew up, whispering his name before sleep. Lyra had grown older. Though time touched her species gently, she was still at Outpost E47, now transformed into a living city. Human and alien children played together under the glass domes, their laughter carried by the same winds that once smelled of war. She led them as commander now, but every night she still looked toward the horizon for the pulse of blue light. That morning the sky changed again. The fragments of the hollow star, silent for years, began to move, slowly at first, then faster, forming a pattern across the heavens. The observatories panicked, sensors spiking, transmissions buzzing with static. Lyra hurried to the command deck, her heart pounding. "It's him," she whispered even before the scanners confirmed it. "It's Daniel." A massive wave of light spread across the system like a sunrise blooming in space. Then from within that light, a shape emerged, human, radiant, wrapped in energy. Half man and half constellation, the comms filled with gasps and cries. "It's the human star," someone said. "He's real." The luminous being descended slowly, his feet never touching the ground, and when he spoke, his voice echoed through every frequency. "Every mind, every soul, Lyra," he said gently. "You kept your promise." Tears filled her eyes. "You're back." "I never left." He smiled, light shimmering through him. "I became part of the network that binds every world. When the hollow star died, it left behind more than fragments. It left potential. And now humanity is ready to awaken it." Lyra stepped forward. "Awaken it how?" Daniel's light brightened. "Not as a weapon, but as a bridge. I can link minds across the stars, teach species to feel each other, to understand. No more barriers. No more fear." Around them the children gathered, eyes wide with wonder. Some reached out, and small sparks of blue danced across their fingertips. Daniel looked at them fondly. "These are the future," he said. "The first generation that will never know hatred." Lyra smiled through her tears. "You always did dream too big," he laughed softly. "And you always made me believe it was possible." The wind stilled, the air itself humming with energy. Daniel turned toward the sky. "The Dominion will come again. They will see unity as threat, but this time, they won't face soldiers," he said. "They'll face a family." His form began to fade, merging back into the light. "I can't stay long. My presence disturbs the balance, but whenever the stars pulse blue, know that I'm watching," Lyra whispered. "We'll keep the light alive." He smiled one last time. "That's all I ever wanted." Then the light burst outward, spreading across the galaxy like a wave of warmth. Every world under its glow felt something deep and human. Connection, courage, love. As the sky returned to calm, Lyra stood still, her face lit by the afterglow. "Welcome home, Captain," she whispered. And far away, beyond time and space, Daniel Hayes, the human star, watched over them all. his heart forever beating in rhythm with the galaxies he had saved. Centuries passed, yet the story of the human star never dimmed. His name had become legend, his light a compass that guided generations through the endless dark. Across 1,000 worlds, children still looked to the heavens at night, tracing the soft blue constellations that glowed like his heartbeat, whispering the same words. Captain Hayes is watching. Outpost E-47 was no longer a lonely desert base. It had grown into the Hayes Accord capital, a vast city of silver towers and living light, where humans and aliens worked side by side. Lyra's name had been etched into its foundation, remembered as the one who carried the flame of the captain's promise. Her portrait hung beside his, two figures who taught the stars what family truly meant. The galaxy had changed under the light he left behind. The great dominion had fallen, not through war but through unity. When their fleets came once more, they found not soldiers, but colonies linked by empathy through the network Daniel had built. The Dominion's weapons could burn cities, but they could not silence the bond that connected every sentient mind. And somewhere in that network, faint but alive, a consciousness drifted, watching, guiding Daniel Hayes, no longer flesh, but energy and memory, a guardian of the collective heart of creation. One evening, a young girl named Sarah sat alone at the edge of the great observation dome. She was half human, half Thalran, and carried Lyra's silver eyes with Daniel's stubborn smile. Her small fingers traced the glowing pattern of the human star, and she whispered softly, "I wish I could meet you." The air shimmered faintly, and the room filled with a quiet hum. A soft light appeared beside her. "Not blinding, but gentle, comforting, you already have," a voice said. Smooth as wind through starlight, Sarah gasped. "Captain Hayes?" The light pulsed softly. "I've never really gone, child. Every act of kindness, every bridge between species, every moment you choose understanding over hate. That's me." She smiled shyly. "Then, you're everywhere," he chuckled. "Exactly where I wanted to be." Outside, the stars shifted, aligning into a great spiral of blue and gold, the living symbol of the Hayes Accord. Sarah turned toward the light again. "Will the galaxy ever be safe, Captain?" The voice grew warm. "Safety is an illusion, little one. What matters is courage and love, as long as you remember those. Humanity will never be alone." Sarah nodded, her eyes shining. "I'll remember." The light faded slowly, merging with the endless sea of stars. And in that moment, every ship, every colony, every being across the network felt a small pulse of warmth inside their hearts, a signal from the edge of eternity. Lyra's descendants carried the wisdom of both bloodlines. The Thalran called it the human heart effect, a force that bound all living minds in empathy, and it reshaped civilizations forever. No empire dared to rise again through fear, because the universe had seen what humanity could become when love guided strength. And in the heart of the cosmic web, where light and memory met, Daniel's voice whispered through eternity. "We were born from a single blue world, fragile and small. But our greatest power was never our weapons. It was the way we cared for one another. It was the way we turned enemies into family." The stars answered with a slow pulse of blue, as if the universe itself breathed his words. And so, even at the end of time, when galaxies dimmed and suns grew cold, a faint human heartbeat echoed through the dark, reminding creation of the truth that began it all. Humanity was never alone because family was never meant to end.